Hello everyone, myself Dr. Poonam Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Harsh Vidya Mandir, PG College, Raisi, Haridwar. And today we will discuss African American novelist Toni Morrison's most controversial novel, The Bluest Eyes, that is prescribed in MA second semester of HNB University. It was most controversial due to its bold and sexual language, but before discussing the story, the theme, or analyzing the summary of The Bluest Eyes, we would briefly discuss about the novelist, parentage, birth, works, and other things. Perhaps the Toni Morrison is most sophisticated novelist in the history of African American literature, and not even so, she was described as amazingly high. There are many writers who wants to write in the style of Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison was born Chole Anthony Walford on February 18, 1931 in Ohio. As a child, she enjoyed storytelling and reading, so it was assumed that she would do well in school. Her upbringing inspired many of her novels. Toni Morrison is an African American fiction writer. Her novels became famous in the 1970s and 1980s. She has won numerous awards for her work, most famously a Nobel Prize in Literature, Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, and Presidential Medal of Freedom. Not even so, when we talk about his family, when we talk about the parentage of Toni Morrison, her father was a sharecropper who moved north to become a shipyard welder in order to provide a better life for his family. Her mother taught her to be powerful, resourceful, and respectful, which fueled many of her maternal themes in her novels. She heard stories of the past from her grandparents about growing in the South. She was the second of four children from her parents. Now, when we talk about the themes in the novels of Toni Morrison, from her family, she was taught to have a strong black self-image, which is prevalent in her novels. Maternal authority and equality in marriage, power in black community, African American identity, shame, trauma, and family life. Class exploitation is perhaps the greatest source of oppression of blacks in white America. After the Civil War, during which blacks were liberated, there was some improvement in the conditions of their lives. In the history of America, it is not surprising that when black women published novels, they necessarily reflected on their relationship, whatever they intended to or not. But when we talk about the novels of black women from 1892 to the present, they have had to react to the elements of race, gender, and class as the factors upon which the societal definitions of the black woman is based. Now, when we talk about the characterization of the novel, what are the characters there? First of all, I would like to discuss Claudia McTeer. Claudia, the narrator of parts of the novel, an independent and strong-minded 9-year-old girl, a rebel against the adults' tyranny over children and against the black community, idealization of white beauty standard. And the second character that we come to know in the novel is Charlie Breedlove. That was Piccola's father, who suffered early humiliations, taking out his frustration on the women in his life. As the story upholds, race increasingly dominates. Next character that we come to know through the story of the novel, Pauline Breedlove, means Polly, who was Piccola's mother, who believes that she is ugly. This belief has made her lonely and cold. She has a deformed foot and sees herself as the martyr of a terrible marriage. She finds meaning not in her own family but in romantic movies and in her work caring for a well-to-do white family. The next character that we encounter in the novel, that is Farida McTeer. Farida, Claudia's 10-year-old sister, who shares Claudia's independence and stubbornness. Because she is closer to adolescence, Farida is more vulnerable to her community's equation of whiteness and beauty. Farida is more knowledgeable about the adult world and sometimes braver than Claudia. Next character that we come to know, that is Mrs. McTeer, Claudia's mother, an authoritarian and sometimes callous woman who nonetheless steadfastly loves and protests her children. When we talk about the story or summary or theme of the novel The Bluest Eyes, first of all we find Piccola. Piccola's story is told through the eyes of multiple narrators. The main narrator is Claudia Macti, a childhood friend with whom Piccola once lived. Claudia narrates from two different perspectives. The adult Claudia, who reflects on the events of 1940 and 41, and the 9 years old Claudia, who observes the events as they happen. The story of the novel is divided into four parts, named after four seasons: autumn, winter, spring, and summer. The first section of the story falls in autumn, and the story begins by Claudia, a 9-year-old girl, who introduces Piccola and explains why she is living with Mactis. Claudia tells the readers what her mother, Mrs. Macti, told her about Piccola. Her mother says that Piccola is a case, a girl who had no place to go. The Breedloves are currently outdoors, are homeless because Piccola's father, Charlie Wintel. They could decide what to do, or more precisely, until the Breedlove family is ruined. Now, despite the tragic circumstances of their friendship, Claudia and her 10 years old sister Farida enjoys playing with Piccola. Farida and Piccola had a strong bonding as they shared love of Shirley Temple, a famous American child star known for her blonde curls, baby singing, and tap dancing with Bill. Now, the adult Claudia recalls being given a blue-eyed baby doll for Christmas, and from the clucking sound of adults I know, she quotes, from the clucking sound of adult I know that the doll represented what they thought was the fondest wish. All the world had agreed that a blue-eyed, yellow-haired, pink-skinned doll was what every girl child treasured. Now, when we think about the character of Piccola, she also wishes for the bluest eyes because, according to her, she thinks that having a bluest eyes makes one beautiful. As she was black in color, as she was, that is, winter consists of two short vintages. The first of these is narrated by Claudia, and in it she documents Piccola's fascinations with a light-skinned black girl by the name of Maureen Peel. Friendly at first, Maureen ultimately humiliates Piccola and her friends by declaring herself cute and Piccola ugly. The second vintage, narrated by the third-person omniscient narrator, focuses on Grateline and Louis Jr., a young mother and son in Lauren, Ohio. Now, when we talk about Piccola, Piccola attempts to leave. Piccola attempts to run away from there, as she claims she is his prisoner. Junior then picks up his mother's cat and begins swinging it around his head. In an effort to save it, Piccola grabs his arms, causing them both to fall to the ground. Now, the third section of the novel, that is in spring, by far the longest, comprising 4 vintages. In the first vignette, Claudia and Farida talk about Mr. Henry, a guest staying with Mactis, picked up Farida, inappropriately touching her while her parents were outside. Each and every chapter of the novel shows how much humiliation, how much exploitation that is Piccola is going on through all chapters. Fourth and final section, that was held in summer, takes place after Piccola loses her mind. Meanwhile, Piccola converses with an unidentified person by herself about her new blue eyes, which she still thinks are not blue enough. In the final moments of the novel, the adult Claudia tells the reader that Piccola gave birth prematurely and the baby did not survive. I have already told you that the novel is divided into 4 seasons: autumn, winter, spring, and summer. And the division into seasons, beginning with autumn, charts the development of events that form the plot of the novel. In the novel, the use of names of seasons intended to indicate the major parts of the bluest eye. As by beginning the novel with autumn, she suggests to us that the word of the novel is topsy-turvy. Spring usually symbolizes the beginning of things, the time of birth and rebirth. Winter, when we talk about the winter is the time of death and decay. And the last summer, and the summer commonly associated with life in full bloom and ripeness is the time of death, life in its final moments. These sessional divisions help the reader in understanding the fundamental decrement of life of the African living in the United States. They help in telling Morrison's story of the wrapped psyche of an adolescent African female living in a racial or racist society. As we know that Piccola always wishes to have bluest eyes. Piccola, who never considers herself beautiful, is all admiration for the eyes of the whites, which she longs to possess through some miracles. Her obsession with physical beauty leads to disastrous consequences. Her obsession with physical beauty leads to disastrous consequences, and at last, Piccola never realizes this, being as she has been under the spell of white cultural domination. All that she has experienced is, and repeated time and again, ever more chillingly, her parents, who have never experienced her love, do not know how to love, and so they cannot give their children a sense of worth. This predicament of her parents is also the outcome of racial injustice. In the end, we can see that Piccola suffers not only because of her race but also because of her gender. In conclusion, we can say Piccola suffers not only because of her race but also because of her gender. And Piccola in the novel is oppressed not only racially but also sexually and on the basis of class distinction. Associated with her condition is funk, violence, ugliness, and poverty symbolizes her storefront house. The mother's own internalization of the desirable woman as beautiful, well taken care of, results in Pauline's rejection of her own daughter, Piccola, who cannot obtain such a standard not only because of her blackness but also because of her poverty. In the end, we can say that throughout the novel, the main protagonist, Piccola, suffers. First of all, she suffers due to her complexion. Secondly, she suffers due to her gender. And this discrimination and exploitation is not outside the society. And this exploitation begins from her own house when she was tortured and raped by her own father. Thank you.